So you cannot, I mean, the HDB policy, you can understand that if you form a family nucleus, you can't really...
you cannot hold two HDB.
Yes, correct. So one of them will have to eventually give up. That is within 6 months from their marriage. So if let's say you have two singles, one buying HDB, the other one holding private. So the question to us is, can they still hold on to it?
Hi everyone, welcome to Takeaway with Avenue 88, where we share insights on the real estate industry. I'm Chantel.
I'm Benny.
I'm Jackie.
And I'm Jason.
Yeah. So today's topic is for those of you who are single, 35 and above, or turning 35. So in Singapore, right, for those of you who are single and turning 35, it's a significant milestone because this is the time you get to buy HDB flat. So before 35 singles have the option of buying private properties, but after you turn 35, right, then it opens up a new option of being able to buy HDB. So today we see to break down the pros and cons of HDB versus private property, and we hope that this will give those of you, right, who are at this crossroad some clarity. And as we hope to cover as much ground as we can, so there will be two parts to this episode. And for part one, we will cover the things to note for HDB, and in our next episode we will be talking more about private property. So first up, let's dive into the eligibility of buying HDB. So what is the income requirements and financial considerations?
Yes, so I will touch on the income for the private and HDB. So mainly actually for HDB will be MSR, which is also named as...
Mortgage servicing ratio.
That's right.
For the audience that do not know.
Yeah. So actually it means only about 30% of your income can use it to repay your HDB loan.
So that's why a lot of people actually quite shocked, because 30% of the income just to repay loan is actually a very small amount.
That's right.
So there are also challenges for buyers not being able to buy HDBs just because of this thing.
Correct. Yeah. And versus let's say for private property is 55%, and then we term it as total debt servicing ratio. So which is almost like twice the amount of the borrowing amount compared to HDB.
So just to add, I think a lot of people do not know that actually for MSR, right, they do not factor in all your other loans out there.
That's right.
Unlike TDSR, which actually factors the loan, other loans such as renovation loan,
study loan,
car loans, all these things.
Yes.
So there's a difference in that. So to put this into perspective, right, for someone who actually has the same salary, will only be able to loan lesser by buying HDB due to MSR as compared to actually TDSR for buying a private property.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so for singles buying BTO, for example, they actually have an income ceiling cap, which is actually not exceeding $7,000. And the option that is available for them out there is only the 2-room flexi layout. So for those
they cannot buy anything bigger.
Yeah, correct. So for those who do not have not seen this kind of layout, to give you a better perspective, it actually looks like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Private,
1-bedroom apartment. So you get one living room, a dining area, a kitchen, the home shelter, the bomb shelter, plus your main bedroom itself.
I think they call it the 老人公寓, right?
Oh, no lah. The 年轻人 also can stay on.
Exactly.
No, there is
they kind of call it, because my parents actually went to see it before. So the agent actually told me that this is called a 老人公寓, in the sense that the layout, of course, is open.
It looks like one of those rental HDBs that is offered out there, the older rental units. So that's why maybe they term it this way.
No, but there's also 2-room flexi, right, that is done up very nicely.
Yes, correct.
And the layout is actually quite efficient. I would say that like for own stay,
it's a proper
it's actually quite
1-bedroom
comfortable.
with a proper enclosed kitchen.
Bomb shelter, enclosed kitchen.
Because I know someone who is young, and then they also get a BTO single. He's a single guy.
So just take note for singles out there, income ceiling not exceeding $7,000, and the option out there is only for the 2-room flexi. And you have to also take note of the waiting time if you apply for BTO. Usually the BTO takes about 3 to 4 years to complete. So by when you turn 35, you apply for it, you get it. When you moved in, by the time you MOP, you are already close to 40 years old already. So got to take note of this timeline, I would say.
Kind of like a 9 years wait, right?
Yes.
Correct. So like, which reminds me of a time when my client was comparing like if she wants to like BTO or she wants to buy a resale flat, and the purpose is really to like make money out of it. So after doing the sums, right, we kind of compare like for the 9 years that she need to like wait for the unit to complete, and also eventually can sell it, right? That for that capital gain that she get, actually if she were to get a resale property, the rental that she can get from renting out rooms actually is very comparable to that capital gains.
Yes, indeed.
So that's why for her case, like having a resale property actually works out better, even though the pricing for the 2-room flexi BTO was like super attractive, like really low price. Yeah.
Okay.
And the good thing is there's actually grants for singles, right?
Yes, correct.
It's
So
not
to
grants.
talk more about grants, right? You can actually, first of all, you can actually apply for a BTO flat by forming a household of 2 to 4. And all of them must be Singapore citizens and at least 35 years of age. So there will be grants available for both BTO and resale. So if you are going for resale, right, you get your CPF housing grants provided that you're eligible for it, and it's up to $40,000 for each single. So if you have 2 single, you double it to
okay.
80,000.
Oh, that means like a joint single
Yes,
scheme.
that's for resale
Right.
CPF housing grant. So if you are going for a 5-room flat, it's up to 25,000. So if there's 2 singles, it's 50,000. So there's also enhanced CPF housing grant for both BTO and resale. So this is up to 60,000. So if you have joint singles coming in, it's double it, $120,000. Then of course, if you are getting resale that's close to parents, you get the proximity housing grant as well, which is up to 15,000 to be able to live with your parents and child, 10,000 to live near your parents and child, which is within the 4 km distance.
Yeah.
So these are the housing grants that are available out there for both BTO and resale for singles.
Very good government initiative to actually give a lot of grants to buyers out
Yes, correct. So in the end, you do have more options. You have more cash and also CPF upfront that you can actually finance the house.
So in short, actually, for HDB BTO, I think it's very affordable, including like resale, since there
Yeah.
are so many grants and all.
Yeah.
Just
But
take note. Sorry, just take note that for resale, you can actually buy all the options out there except for 3-gen flats. Yeah, so you can buy up to 5-room, 4-room, 5-room HDB.
Yeah.
So just to mention a bit more on MOP, as what Benny mentioned, MOP is actually 5 years. But then because if you buy a BTO, it takes about 3 to 4 years to build, and MOP 5 years, right? So there's about 8 years total.
HDB did say that now their
3
construction
years.
time is
Yeah,
so
Yeah,
faster.
it's
So
shorter.
shortened,
Okay.
4 to 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually this, if of course comparing to buying resale, you go straight into the 5-year MOP thing. So really depends on the buyer's perspective on objective, whether is there any potential to actually sell or upgrade in the future.
Right.
Because just compare with private properties, there's no MOP and there's only a 3 years seller's stamp duty only. Yep.
Okay. Then I'll also talk about, just continue from what Benny mentioned about the joint single scheme.
Yeah.
So for joint single scheme or be it single scheme, you can also buy like HDB resale and even like new EC as well. So I think that is a lot of another
Executive
big option.
Condominium.
Yeah,
Yes.
the EC that people can take. And also like what Benny mentioned just now, for BTO is only like 2-bedroom flexi, even for joint single scheme. But for resale, then it can be any type of flat except for the 3-gen flat. And one more thing is that for joint single scheme, you don't have to be related. That means like no need to be like siblings or anything. Can be friends. Can be friends as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
actually, I think a lot of people do not know about this. I realized that a lot of people think that when it's joint single scheme, right, you need to be with your siblings or what. But that's not true.
Or
Actually.
Not
cousin,
necessary to
yeah.
form a
So-
family
So-
nucleus.
Which means
yeah.
that like 2, 3 or 4 friends, right? They can come together and buy a EC together and co-live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Even
Okay.
Yeah, right.
That's correct.
But one
Yeah.
thing, I mean, for EC, because you got
Yeah.
the 16K income.
Yeah, cannot
so
exceed the
the 4
16K income
person,
ceiling.
correct, they cannot exceed 16K income.
Okay, so for those each earning 4K,
yeah, can come together.
Come
and buy
together
one.
Four
and buy a-
BFS can stay together in one house.
and
Buy the 5-bedroom.
fulfill your condo dreams.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Chantel, resale.
Oh yes. So for resale HDB, right? Single PR cannot buy.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So that is one thing to note.
So even if they get the 3 years PR, after being 3 years PR, they also cannot buy a single
Yes.
scheme.
yes,
Yes.
Right, as
that-
compared to a PR married couple.
Yeah. So
That's
single
right.
scheme is really for Singapore citizen only.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. More of like yes, that's right. Yeah. So for resale HDB, there is also no income ceiling and size limitation. I think as like what Benny
Correct.
covered just now, except for 3-gen where you really need like the 3 generation to live in, right? Other than that, sky is the limit. Like I have a client, he just want to have his dream bachelor pad, so he gave me a budget and he just buy the biggest possible he can buy, and he just turned it into his dream bachelor pad. Like he bought like a
Is there a
one-
mentioned?
is a point block EA.
Oh wow.
So like 1,300 square feet.
EA is almost like
Right.
five. There's like
This
five
like you
room,
have
uh,
three. I
five
think
room
there is
plus.
3
It's
bedrooms
like a
and
plus a
a
study
and a
area,
balcony
yeah.
also.
Yeah,
Like
a
very
balcony also.
yeah, very
Wow.
big space. Yeah. So
So
that is
personally, I
one
actually
option.
had a client who is above. I personally served the client who's
Yeah.
above 35. So what he bought was actually single scheme. So what he bought was actually one of the largest flats of HDB, which is a jumbo flat.
Wow.
Nice.
So it's actually two. We co-broke the deal.
Is it?
Yes, I co-broke the deal with you. You were the seller's agent.
I'm okay that one.
Yeah. So it's my cousin.
Oh.
Yeah, so they actually
yes,
that
yes,
one
yes.
was they had four bedrooms, 4 or 5 bedrooms in total.
No, it's a 3-room flat.
Yeah,
Then they
three
combine another 3-room flat.
It's a jumbo,
Total it was
yeah.
4 bedrooms. They actually converted into 5 bedrooms. But for him, is that his case was that he bought one of the largest flat, which is a jumbo flat.
Yeah.
And the only thing that, of course, there was no limitation to buy the size of the unit. Only limitation that is because due to salary, he cannot take HDB loan and thus can only take bank loan.
Yeah, only the bank loan.
And he's still single right now.
Still single.
Wow. Enjoying
Very
life.
good. Yeah.
Living out his best life. Okay, so now that we go through the hard facts about HDB, right? So what are the possibilities and consideration, right, that one should take note when choosing the HDB option?
Okay,
Yeah.
so one has to think about it. If let's say if they're currently staying with their parents, I mean most local kids they still stay with their parents before they get married lah. So
Yeah.
when they are 35 and above, let's say if they go and buy a HDB on their own, right, under a single scheme, right, what they can do is actually to ask their parents to move into the new place
new
that they buy.
HDB.
Because they're not able to rent out the whole unit, just able to rent rooms. Then they can actually rent out the parents' place to actually fully maximize the rental yield, because generally HDBs do get decent rental income from there. So that's actually one consideration.
And one of the common questions asked is that what happens if two singles get married? One single male and one single female, each already own a HDB, and
Right.
eventually they get married. So under the HDB policy is that one of them will have to give up the unit. So within 6 months of marriage. So you cannot, I mean the HDB policy, you can understand that if you form a family nucleus, you can't really
You cannot hold two HDB.
Yes, correct. So one of
Yeah.
them will have to eventually give up. That is within 6 months from their marriage. So if let's say you have two singles, one buying HDB, the other one holding private. So the question to ask is, can they still hold on to it? Do you all know the answer?
They
Yes.
can still hold on to the HDB,
HDB,
but they have to
Move
live
into
into the
they
live
need to
inside the
live in
HDB.
HDB.
Yes, correct.
yeah.
Only after MOP. They have to
Yes.
fulfill the MOP. So that answers the one of the common questions that are being asked. What happens when
Right.
two singles get married?
So before they get married, they should buy all the property first.
Yes.
If they have the money.
I actually have client like she told me that she want to buy property, right? Then she asked me because she's going to get married already, so she want to buy first.
Planning.
Actually, this leads me to think that there's this recent news. I don't know whether you heard of this dual keys or HDB.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, even if let's say if you are single, buying even a 3-room HDB which actually has 2 bedrooms, right? They can actually get the renovation company or idea to actually carve out a studio concept.
Yeah.
So when you come into the
In
house,
the
there will be
HDB?
2 doors. Yes, it's actually
Oh.
on the news. There was
Right.
actually a proposed floor plan. So this can be done for extra income, because if you want to buy a HDB, once again, you cannot rent out the whole unit. And you can only rent out rooms. But you rent out rooms, there will be a privacy issue. So actually a buyer can actually consider actually carving up a studio concept. So actually staying in one part of the unit and the other part to rent out. Or maybe the other part to actually allow their parents to stay, and once again to rent out the parents' house to actually maximize the full rental income.
True.
Yes, exactly. So like I have actually come across like a unit, right, which is reconfigured into a dual key. So it's like an old 4-room flat. Yeah. Then they actually configure it to like a 2-bedroom on one side, right, and a 1-bedroom concept on the other side. And the 2-bedroom side actually is able to fetch a rental of 3,500.
Okay.
Right,
Oh,
quite
then,
quite decent
then
for
the
the
owner stay
OCR location. The owner stay in the 1-bedroom side.
Ah.
Yeah, so I suppose because of this dual key concept with the added privacy, right,
Yes.
it actually helped in fetching a higher
It
rent.
makes a lot of sense actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So something interesting lah. Yeah, but I thought that since we're talking about renting out HDBs, right, I think one thing to note is that for HDB, the primary purpose of it is really affordable housing for own consumption. So
Yes.
with that, right, it means that there are rules that actually comes when it comes to rental. Yeah, and it changes from time to time. So one of the thing that I encountered recently, right, is like the changes in quota and restriction for the kind of people you can rent out to. Because for HDB, right, there is actually some restriction in terms of, let's say if you're renting out to foreigners, there's a certain quota that it can be met, right? So recently, yes, there's any quota, and also like sometimes, let's say if the foreign workers,
I think their industry also plays a part.
Industry also, yes. And also like basically just non-Malaysians and non-Singaporeans that when we are renting out to them, there is a quota that would be met. So once that is being met, right, then you might not be able to continue to rent out your unit to this group of people.
That's correct.
So like for example, recently I have a client who was referred to me, and he actually shares with me that his HDB no longer allow him, right, to rent out his unit to foreign workers, which he has been renting it out for like the past 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and due to this change in it's due to the change in the quota lah. So then we need to start to plan and work out like the possibility of either selling his HDB or refurbish it and rent it out to Singaporeans. So I think it's something to note, like if you are planning to use HDB as a way to collect rental income, right, you need to be prepared for such scenarios to happen and not be caught off guard and be stressed by it.
Long tenancy doesn't give you the confirmation that you can rent out to the same person when the lease ends, right?
Yeah.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah, it really depends based on these rulings and stuff. Yep.
Yes, exactly. And also I think another thing to touch on, because just now like we were sharing like about how singles also like to buy like their dream home, like jumbo flat or like the OEAs. Like I think these are all like very nice like spaces.
Yep.
Yeah, but oftentimes they are also the older spaces. So
Yeah.
I think one thing that people should also note, like if you're buying this older HDB, right, is that there is this lease decay element to it.
Of course.
So I think also need to have like a longer picture in mind. So let's say, like for example, my client who wanted his bachelor pad, right? He bought like at that time that when he buy the HDB is slightly lesser than 60 years already. So I did tell him that you have to be prepared that there might not be any capital appreciation from this property already lah. And like probably this have to be your forever home if you just want to enjoy it. Or like let's say you want to sell in future, right? You have to be prepared that if we are at the lower cycle of the property cycle, right, then you might not be making profits out of it. Yeah. So he was very clear about it, and he know that at that point, right, that was something that really meet his needs. So he decided like to go ahead with it. So I think for those of you who are like thinking to buy the older HDB, right, do really go in with a very clear mind lah. That,
what you want.
what to expect, correct?
Yeah.
Because you don't always see appreciation all the time due to the lease decay.
The clear objective.
Yes,
of what you
exactly.
want,
For
right?
singles, you also do not know that in years to come, you may eventually find a partner and get
Yes,
married. So
yes.
what will your plans eventually be? So if you happen to buy a bigger flat, then of course, that big flat of yours, you can actually turn it into your family home eventually.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
that works as well. But I think sometimes it's hard to foresee what happens in the near future. So some of the singles out there who have hit 35 years old, in years to come, I mean, you do not know what is going to happen. You may eventually find a partner, settle down and get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we close for today, you guys have anything else you want to add on in terms of like singles buying HDB? Any last advice?
I think
or
really
tips
as
you
what
want
Benny
to?
said and you all said, I think it's good to have a clear mind, because I realized that actually some of my friends who I didn't deal with the HDBs with them. Some of them bought on their own, but some of them say that hey, no lah, I will forever stay single. After a few years later, you see that they're attached.
Yeah,
on
they
Facebook,
got a
then
girlfriend.
they get settled down. So sometimes, although we cannot guarantee, I mean, no one can guarantee say that when will you find your next partner.
Right.
But sometimes it's good maybe to have actually a clear mind ahead. That will really help you in a better planning.
So I think today what we cover is that for singles who hit 35 years old, the HDB option is available for you already. It's whether you want to go into the BTO
BTO route.
BTO path, which is
Yes.
actually more limited in terms of option, I would say.
Yeah.
Correct.
But
But
two room flexi.
correct.
Yeah.
So if your income happens to hit above that 7,000, then you can go into resale, which there will be more options out there. For resale flats up to 5 room, you are able to get. So I think very importantly, like what Chantel mentioned, HDB policies are there to keep in place what the HDB main intention is, which is for own stay. Of course, if you are eligible to rent it out, you can do so for the income as well. Yeah, I think that is what we want to cover today lah.
Yeah. I totally agree. So end of the day, I feel you just have a very clear objective. You know what you want. Yeah, just plan it out, and then Yeah, enjoy the stay lah. I'm sure single life, just enjoy, man.
Enjoy while you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think indeed, turning 35 for singles, right, really open up more possibilities for
Yes.
housing with the access to HDB and ECs, and it can get like quite confusing at times. So if you need help navigating this crossroad, right, do PM us, or if you have any question, right, you can also drop it in the comments below, and we will return again with a next episode talking about private properties for singles. And remember to like and subscribe if you find this episode helpful for you. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.